So yeah, I'm really happy to see you all. And we have a guest this week as we're going to start like we always start, but then we do have a guest, Dr. Joni Buckley. Last time we were talking about how to engage tribal partners in our regions, and I thought Joni would be a great person to come chat to with us about that. And so she's here. So I'm super excited about that. Thank you, Joni. And but we'll start like we always start. I'll admit people, and we'll do our yeah. I thought so. We're going to do our usual icebreaker. We're going to review see where you all got with sectors and thinking about sector collaboration in your regions. And I didn't put in, but Joni's here. So that's our other objective, is to learn about how to engage our tribes effectively and respectfully. And yes. So I thought, since it seems like summer here, I was actually going to sit outside and do this call, but it's got kind of warm. So um, and just for Joni's benefit, and London is, I think, NATO's newest employee, and she's here to join us too. So just for their benefit, if you can, I know sometimes we don't do our full name organization, but if you could today, that would be super helpful. And favorite summit, and I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you all, but I'll start. Melissa Levy, I'm with NATO, and I also do consulting through Community Roots. And I have a lot of favorite summer activities, to be really honest. Really like paddling. I do a lot of biking and I do a lot of hiking and seeing live music outside. Those are my favorite summer activities. So I'm just gonna, just to get this moving, I'm gonna just do it based on my screen. So I'm not picking on you, but Joni, you're next.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Well, Seguli, everyone, hello and welcome to this. And I'm so honored to be able to meet you because I always want to hear other people's perspectives on things. Um, I work for First Nations as a consultant and now for NATO. My background is I'm a tribal member from the Oneida Nation in Wisconsin. But prior to spending the time up in Wisconsin, I worked more internationally, and my forte is in Latin America. And I lived and worked down there. And I'm more of a strategist, so I look at new initiatives from a strategic point of view. Um, I don't do any exercise, like tennis, but that's about it.
Tennis is exercise. And it
And
doesn't have to be exercise. It could be, I don't know.
I know, but when all these people are always doing all of this great exercise, it just makes me feel incredible. So I do play a little bit of tennis, but I travel, so I can't stay on a league long enough. And other than that, I'm here. I have a doctorate in business, and thank you for inviting me.
Of course. London, you're next on my screen.
Well, hi everyone. My name is London, and yeah, I work with Melissa at NATO. Fairly new to the team and working a little bit with Joni on some of our tribal engagement. So excited to sit in and hear about what all of you have been doing and hear some of these perspectives. Um, I, to get into my summer activity, I suppose, I love to go on hikes with my dog, but with the heat, we're always looking for some kind of water source. So I call it creek hunting, and we'll go on trails and always look for swimming holes and do a bit of splashing around in the creek and hiking. So that's my go-to, doing that on Friday, actually.
Nice. All right, Heather.
Hi, my name is Heather Devitt. I'm Deputy Director at Mohawk Valley Economic Development District. And Joni, we actually have a couple different tribes in our area. The United Indian Nation is one of them, along with the Kenajalehi, which is a Mohawk tribe. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Cool. Yeah.
And my summer activity, I like to sit drinking on the porch and judging people as they walk by.
Wow. All right. All right. Thanks for sharing. Amanda.
Hi, I'm Amanda Whalen. I'm from Embed with Heather. I stand across from her porch and she makes fun of me. No, I just got a paddleboard, so that's my summer activity. But I do sit right here with her from work, so she gets a
Cool.
pregame in. She makes fun
Gotcha.
of me all day. No,
How
thank
funny.
you.
All right. Thank you. Ethan.
Hi everyone, my name's Ethan Wary. I'm with the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance. We're based in West Des Moines, Iowa, but we work with the 7 counties in central Iowa. Summer activities. My wife and I, we enjoy going to the farmers market in Ankeny, where we live, in central Iowa. There's also the Des Moines Farmers Market, which is a huge farmers market. There's yoga in the park, free yoga in the park, one that's in walking distance, and then one that we can get on the bike trail, because that's the other thing we like to do is bike. There's a high trestle trail. It's a large trail, connects multiple towns north to south, and so it used to be a railroad tracks, and then the county bought it and then paved it, and so now it's like a tourism economic development activity as well. Biking is a huge thing here, so we're actually training to do what's called RAGBRAI. There's annually there's a race across Iowa where you put your bike tires in the Missouri River that's along the Iowa-Nebraska border, and then you ride across the whole state, visiting all the towns across, and then not all the towns, but on the certain trail, and then you dip your tires in the Mississippi River, and so it's a week-long event. And yeah, it's a huge thing here. But we're only doing one day of it, not the whole thing, just one day, which is about 70 miles. So
That's pretty amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, we have a trail that goes across Vermont. It's like 93 miles, I think. I mean, it's not as wide, obviously, but it's a beautiful trail. We do pieces of it. Haven't
Yeah.
done the whole thing, but we do like 30 miles at a time or yeah.
Wow.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Ethan. Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Brown and I'm with the Lake Cumberland Area Development District in Kentucky. I have 3 kids, so my summer revolves around kids, swimming pool, everything like that. So it's whatever they want to do.
I remember those days. Yes. Okay. Corinne.
Hi everyone, I'm Corinne Olson. I'm the Community Development Program Manager at CERTA. That's the Southeastern Regional Development Agency in Price, Utah. And I am lucky to be located where I'm at. I love to hike, so I'm always at Arches or Canyonlands or one of the other 5 national parks we have here in Utah. But I just recently did a Via Ferrata trail in Ouray. So it's like a hike and climb, and you're like strapped in. It was kind of scary, but it was so fun. So I'm on the hunt for the next one.
Wow, that sounds ambitious. After our conference last year, I did go to Arches and Canyonlands. It was lovely by myself. I took a couple of days. Quite nice. I need to go back. I didn't really have enough time, but yeah. Lisa.
Lisa Ryan with Concho Valley Council of Governments. I'm the Regional Services Manager. We're in San Angelo and we have a 14 county region, basically west central Texas. I know nobody ever knows where San Angelo is, but that's where we are. And people in Texas don't know where it is, by the way. I don't know if it's an activity, but I'd love to sit by the pool.
That counts. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. Sawyer.
Hey, y'all. Sawyer Summers with the Regional Planning Commission of Greater Birmingham. I'm a community development specialist here, and we cover the 6 counties in and around Birmingham, right in the heart of Alabama. Favorite summer activity? It's busy season for the River Society, so got to go appreciate that Alabama is the most freshwater biodiverse state in the country.
Wow.
We also, we're the home of the scientist who coined the term biodiversity. So shout out to Yo Wilson.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I did not know he was from Alabama. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Haley.
Hi, everyone. As I plugged in the chat, Piowa is a documentary about the role that pie plays in Iowa culture, and I would recommend everyone watch it. It was really good. I think it's about an hour long, so not too in depth, but I'm Haley. I work at NATO with Melissa and London. I'm on the transportation research team. So I've heard a lot about you, Joni. I know you've worked with some other people on the transportation team too. And my favorite outdoor activity is hammocking. I kind of got out of doing it for a while, and now that I'm back, I'm like, I'm committed to hammocking once a week in the summer. It's so relaxing.
Aw, that sounds, yeah. We never took our hammock down. It's been out through the winter, so I'm kind of afraid to get on it, but okay, and last but not least, Brittany.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany Simonich. I am the Community Development Program Manager at Mission West Community Development Partners. We serve 3 counties. We're in western Montana, about 85 miles south of Glacier National Park. Beautiful area. We're also located on the Flathead Indian Reservation, which serves the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes, which includes the Kootenai, Kasanka, Salish, and Pend Oreille. And my favorite summer activity, Melissa, I think you and I could hang out. Love to paddle, float the river, and a kayak or raft. Love to listen to music. There's a huge music festival this weekend I'm going to. I'm very excited. And of course, hiking. We have the beautiful Mission Mountains and a lot of wilderness area over here. So a lot to explore.
There is, I love Montana. Yes, I definitely have to get back there. Great. Well, thank you all for humoring me. It just helps. I think helps people understand who they're talking to. I'm gonna share again, and then I'm gonna turn it over to. So we did this. Good job. I like to just continually hammer these principles that we're going to be talking about throughout this cohort, but I think these are the biggest takeaways is really creating wealth, rooting it in local ownership, control, and influence, and building livelihoods. That's what wealth creation is. And again, these are our capitals. We use them for understanding what we have, designing strategies to build these capitals, and measuring how we're doing. I just got back from a work trip around measurement, and it's so important. And I have to think about bringing more of a measurement focus into this, and I'm going to figure out how to do that. But we're in this part of this continuum where after we hear from Joni, we'll check in on your sector homework. And yeah, so that's where we are. Next, we'll be heading into value chain development. I have for our July meeting, I have my colleague Shauna Ratner, who is kind of helped develop the whole WealthWorks framework, and she'll be talking to us about understanding demand. She's the person that I worked with on wealth creation in Afghanistan, so we've spent a lot of time on understanding demand in that project that she'll probably talk about, which will be useful. But I am going to turn it over to Joni at this point. I'm so excited to have her. Yeah, on our last call, we were talking about the SEDS, and this came up. How can we best collaborate with tribal nations in our regions? And that's when I reached out to Joni and asked her if she would come join us for a little bit. So she's already introduced herself to you, but I think I'm just going to turn it over. And Joni, you let me know when you want me to change the slide, okay?
Hi. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm up in Toronto here.
Oh, right.
So that's one of the things I love to do is come up here and look for English China. Anyway, what I want to do is kind of take one perspective on looking at the SEDS and collaborating with tribes. But I do want all of you to join in, whether it's asking a question or giving me your perspective or your engagement with the tribes, because this has to be a collaboration of us sharing ideas.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I did in this one was kind of look at the SEDS, and since you're familiar with it, and if you were going to put your SEDS up in the tribal SEDS in your region, it will give you such a wonderful view of what they're developing and what you're developing and how you can really collaborate on helping on some of the development. So that's why I started with this one. They're all different in the tribes, just as yours are. But if you look at Spokane tribes sets, you see that they're very targeted to some development that they're doing there. It's not like, oh, we want to develop houses for our people. It's very, very targeted to economic development for them. So when you start to look at it, the first thing that jumps out to me is, oh, they want to leverage the tribe's promise zone and opportunity zone designations. So if you go back and look at that, it gives external businesses and people an opportunity also to help build that because of the taxation and the benefits for taxes in that. So I also looked and saw, oh, they want to attract primary jobs to STEP fee parcels. So what is that? So as I looked at that, I thought, oh, I better just kind of tweak it up. And I saw that it was 145 area mixed use development. So that gives an array of different businesses that they want to attract also for this development area. And again, sometimes it offers some taxation benefits to companies when they look at it. Also, the Two Rivers Resort. So, if anybody knows how they've developed different resorts, you can have a weigh in on that and bring some knowledge to them. So, they also want to engage regional stakeholders. Yes, great big flag that says, hey, we want you to be part of our community. So that's kind of how I start looking at that engagement if I were to engage with a tribe to see if I can find their sets. I will say that a lot of tribes may or may not have the sets, so don't expect everybody to have it because with you, you have to have a set to get EDA funding. Sometimes we've got some agreements with EDA that are a little different. Next slide. Oh, and if you want to ask a question, just raise that hand and we'll do it so that you don't have to think back on what slide it was related to. Okay?
Good point. Yeah, so I'll just say it looks like um, the goals seem pretty specific, like in a way that I feel like they aren't with EDDs. I feel like at least most of the EDDs, the SEDs that I've seen are really broad. And I guess that's, my understanding was always that they're broad so that there are any number of things that would fit under those goals, whereas these are very, like, way more specific than I guess I've seen in an EDD SEDs. So I'll just name that, I guess, is what yeah.
I think that's a good comment in it. One thing I see between the sets, because another one just had, we wanted to develop this in our people and job creation and very broad like that, or some other
Yeah.
sets in tribal communities. What I found interesting is that you've got to look at some tribes and see how developed they are. This one has a lot of systems developed. So you can always look at a tribe and be able to understand something there too, and look at their systems, their level of development, and their location.
Yeah. So it sounds like reviewing their SEDs or their planning documents like this is a really good research step before reaching out, is I think what I'm hearing. Yeah.
If they have one and you can find it, it's a mechanism, just like
Nice.
you go
Yeah.
and you look at what the tribe is, how big it is, what's their background, how did they get where they are. So that's just background information to look at. But I wanted to show you different things related to SEDS,
That's
and that
great.
being a jump off point.
Yeah.
So this other one, I'm going to move you now to Minnesota. And one of the interesting things here is you've got the SEDS, but let's look at how it was implemented. So this one is with Region 5 Development Commission and the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe. They're very well known for their wild rice. And so they can't seem to get it to the market fast enough in it. So one of the things they were interested in doing at that time was really looking at constructing a processing facility. So when you read this, you know it's to grow wild rice tribal enterprise. So you can read immediately and know that, yes, this is for the community to prosper, but it's also on the enterprise side of it. So you know tribes always have the business side, not always, and have the community side of it. And sometimes they intertwine, and sometimes you've got two different initiatives in it. So on this one, the other thing that I found interesting was it's still looking at aligning with the regional strategy. That's what the EDD saw is, hey, if we help them, we can also align it with them by building businesses and economies. And so that's what I found interesting in setting this one up. The EDD also helped with the facilitation and helped them with the grants and the systems to put in place too. So this is a different example of how a SEDS matures.
Okay.
Now I'm going to take you to Wisconsin, and that's where I am. Go Packers. Yes, sorry. In Wisconsin, and I bring this to you because it's a different approach too. In Wisconsin, there are a couple of tribes that are putting theirs together. Oneida, for instance, that I belong to, doesn't have a formalized SEDS in the sense that the Great Lakes Intertribal Council, which is GLTC, and it's made up of the chairmans or the presidents or the chiefs of all 11 tribes. And so they get together and they make some larger decisions on the needs of the different tribes too, to help put that together. But because they have that, they have a comprehensive SEDS that's more broad-based, and they can work off of that one or create their own. So when they have these meetings, they'll be able to discuss that and also get some help overall for this. But EDD will fund them because they do have that sense. And I must say, at one time when I was working for Oneida, just to give you another perspective, I had the cannery under me. I had like technology and a lot of different departments. But with the cannery, we started looking at an expansion for it. And so now we didn't have a SEDS. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have a small problem with that starting out because GLTC doesn't have it solidified yet. So I reached out to the local EDD and talked to them. And fortunately, I had asked the university to put together an idea for the cannery. And so they used it in a class, that example, and we made a small donation for it, but it was great because the class people did it.
Oh,
And so I
okay.
was so excited about
That's
that because it had both just the cannery, but it also had a community area.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important too. So it was easier because then the EDD helped me get that money from EDA to at least do a feasibility study and an architectural design. So I wrote all of the elements for that and then sent it out for bid there. So I just wanted to throw that in there because
Yeah.
there's so many different things that people look at and can apply. Okay,
Cool.
next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when we're asking, and this is definitely where I want some of you to weigh in on this because you have connections with the tribes too. But if you look at the broad picture of it, do your background homework. But first of all, be responsible for a meaningful partnership. Don't just say, I'm going to go work with them and we're done, and so what happens when you don't have a meaningful partnership is you end up really not having the respect that you should have to the other party, and go past it. And one of the things we have in Oneida, um, in our vision and our value statements is an open mind and a good heart. So I threw that in there just to give it to you as an easy one to remember that. The other thing I've seen too in the interaction is a lack of humility. You're not greater than, you are a part of this team. Um, and one example is too, I went after a grant one time, and this was years ago. So it was for an aquaponics because I don't know why, but I had the grants department under me. So sorry about that. But it was aquaponics. And when we looked at that, I still needed some help. So I wrote in the community college there because there was a professor that could teach it, and wrote that in there for the high school to also get that knowledge and get some courses in high school there. So I say that because have the humility and the respect, and then do your research. That's just a no-brainer on it. But one of the things I must say is that in the tribal community in Indian country, the important thing is the cultural values. And I'm going to give you an example. Well, maybe I won't give you that example because I'm going to give you that example.
Yeah.
Because I know you're not going to go publishing this paper here.
No.
But one of the things that I think is important when I was looking at the cannery, and we had some consultants too, the hardest thing was explaining that this was in the central part of our community. And it was very important to us because they didn't even have a restaurant there. This person had continually suggested that if we have alcohol there, that it would still drive some more revenues. And I said, well, we're not because it's in our community. When they insisted a couple of times, we just had to cut ties in that. So it's not always about driving money. It's about building a community. And I think that that's an important thing to really think about and remember. The seventh generation philosophy is something that we really believe in as Oneidas. It is who we are. We have to take into account what our elders have taught us and what's important to us from our cultural side and from the knowledge of our elders, and ensure that we're also thinking about the generations going forward too, those unborn. And that when we're doing that, that we can collaborate and find some common ground for everything. I hope that that makes sense on it. But a lot of people look at the seventh generation also. Understand sovereignty. I know Melissa and I had this discussion one time about the wealth creation, and the wealth creation is important from that perspective. If I were going to transition it to the cultural values of the tribe, I don't think I would call it wealth. I would probably call it prosperity because that's kind of important. So I think the program is excellent, excellent. But that was just one thing we looked at if I'm
Yeah.
talking to the tribe or not. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I
developments
think
there.
code switching is really important all around. I mean, I think we all do it all the time, but I think it's really, Joni and I have talked about the language and what language is more appropriate and a more, acceptable in different circumstances. So I think it's, that's something always in the back of my mind. And, and I even just with all kinds of people, I feel like I'm constantly code switching around language, which, once you know what you're talking about, is pretty easy to do. But yeah, go ahead, Joni. Sorry.
Well, I'm just throwing that in from
Yeah.
a tribal perspective on it.
Absolutely.
But I do want to make sure that you understand the sovereignty, the treaties they have, what their land is, because we're about caring for the land for our future generations. Understand the sovereignty is a domestic United States sovereignty type on it. So they're under the federal government in that sense, but they have their own laws, their own rules, and that's important to understand. So that's why I say before you go building anything, understand their guidelines for the lands. And let's see, what else? I think that's, is there one more? No, that probably covers it. Oh,
Yeah.
here. Oh, one of the things, Melissa's a great resource center. I want you to know that NATO has some incredible resources in it. We worked on this interactive map. I don't know if you have seen the map or worked through the map of the United States here. Excludes Alaska right now because they were still working on it. But it shows you where the different areas are, where the tribes are. You can hit the key and it'll give you some more data and information on it. So it's a very good interactive map. NATO has also put together quite a few case studies that show it. We put a case study together for Wisconsin that showed differences in the different EDDs there. And I think they have a lot of great reports. And the fact that they have the webinars, NATO has those webinars is great. I attended a couple of them and they're always, always great to do it. So if you need anything, please reach out. Melissa, I can do it. London can do it and just give you the right information in it, or at least a road map to it. Thoughts, questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing so people I can see you better. And if folks have questions for Joni or things that are going on in your place, I know I feel like this came up in Montana last time. So, but yeah. So anything on anybody's minds, questions, comments?
I just have a question about the map. Is that just federally recognized tribes?
Correct. When you're
Okay.
looking at those, they're federally recognized tribes, and thanks for saying that. I mean, there's still over 500, so you can do a lot of pick and choosing. But they don't have what you would call the state recognized ones. They're only the federal ones.
Sorry, a follow up to Heather's. So like for us, we have a St. Regis Mohawk tribe, and it has them as a tribal nation on here, but they don't have a SEDS link. Do they still have maybe some opportunities through like as an EDD, or is that just on there? Sorry.
Sorry, which tribe was it?
It is St. Regis Mohawk, so they're like St. Lawrence.
Right. I think that the thing to think about is that everybody has an opportunity. If you have, thought about it, put it together, and have collaborated on it. If you go back and you said, hey, do I have an opportunity for grants? That's like anybody could just put their hand out and say, I demand a grant here because I'm Native. That's not the way it works in anybody's book. Amanda, did that answer that kind of?
I think so. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to loop in so like the St. Regis is over a tribe here in our region, the Mohawk Valley, that is trying to they bought back some familiar lander, but they're trying to get under sovereignty. But St. Regis actually just got a bunch of money from the EPA and New York State, and their strategic plan that they have as a tribe, it goes till 2027. So like in New York State, our grant fund is open right now. So I was just wondering about how to get them either as their own sets or like how we can incorporate it into our region. If that makes sense at all.
The question is, I personally, and this is just me, so take it with a grain of salt sometimes. I personally don't ever look at if they're in my seds, they're in theirs, they have a seds or not. It's what do they need? What are they trying to do? When you start talking to them, you start to find some commonality. Oh, here's a tribe down there in the four regions, Ute Mountain Ute. Work for them, yes. And what do they need? They need people to help them with knowledge also.
Yeah,
So
and because sorry.
don't think about that because you're always going to find some paths to work together.
Yeah, and we've been out to like their homestead group or like where their homestead is a lot, and like they need building improvements, all this other stuff. But they've been in a weird spot because they're technically a nonprofit, they're part of the nation. So just anything we can do to leverage more funding for them. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll loop them in.
It is. Let me just ask you, exclude tribes and just look at the community, the greater community or the state, whatever you want to. Other people can still use it or not, whether they're written into your seds or not. You're just learning where opportunities are that need your help. So I think you should look at that too, because the other thing to look at is there are a lot of philanthropists. First Nations has a lot of support from philanthropists, and there are a lot of philanthropists that'll help people, tribes, organizations, and they don't have to have the exact underlying documents.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. Anybody else? This is
okay, Brittany, let's hear from you and see what words of wisdom you have for us. Since
yeah, we so in Lake County is where I work, where our EDO is located, is also on tribal land. The other two counties are not that we serve, and so yeah, we work closely with the tribal EDD program, not as closely as we'd like. I'm new in this position, but we plan and they're interested on being on our steering committee. We're starting our SEDS process next month, really. We're kind of ahead of the game. We miscalculated and we're like way ahead of the game, but this is good. So we can, kind of go at our own pace. So yeah, we already have their current director of their EDD is on board for our steering committee, and then kind of their outgoing director who's retiring, and he'll have more time, which is exciting for us, will also be a voice on our steering committee. So that's great. But we want to obviously work in know that we are doing our own SEDS, but work collaboratively in the fact that we all reside and want this to be a great place to live, work, and play. So want to acknowledge that relationship and the sovereign nation and the cultural significance. So yeah, so far relationships are good, and we are working in partnership. So yeah,
that is great, and I hope that I hope and Heather, we're still here. Heather, are you gonna be able to weigh in? Or if not, Corinne, can you weigh in?
I'm sorry, I had to hop off for a call from one of my cities. So what was the question? And I'd be happy to.
I just want to see if you could weigh in on that relationship with tribes. Any thoughts, any ideas, good, bad, or different?
So our area covers that's part of the Navajo Nation on the Utah Strip portion. And we work really hard to just do in-person meetings because it's so important just to create that relationship personally that can influence our SEDS. I haven't personally worked on our SEDS yet. I'm new to this position, like Brittany was talking about, that still kind of getting the ropes, but I'm excited just to see what an in-person collaboration could do because there's been some friction in the past, as with I feel like all tribes. Just I want to be understanding, open, and create genuine connections. So where we're not just meeting to collaborate on this one document, we're meeting to collaborate on growth and development and how we can serve each other, resources that we can bring in to the nation. Yeah, things like that.
That's great. And Heather, thanks. I just wanted to get your perspective since you work so closely with the tribes too.
We actually don't really work closely with them. The United Indian Nation keeps very much to themselves. They do a lot of work in Oneida County where they're located, but they generate their own money. They've got a casino, they've got hotels and things like that. So we don't really interact with them. Our main interaction is really with the Mohawk tribe that Amanda was talking about earlier. We actually, we're rural and we've got a big section of our area that doesn't have any public transportation. And the Mohawk tribe is right smack dab in the middle of that. So if anybody living at that homestead would have to either have a car or drive approximately, I don't know, 12 or 15 miles to get to public transportation. And our grant is actually through the USDOT, and we're trying to see how we can connect the Mohawk tribe to the resources out at the Oneida tribe. And that's really where our interaction has been coming from. But I'll admit, it's very slow going. It's sporadic, when we do need to talk to the tribe, it's a lot of heavy lifting to get on a call with them and to go out and see them and things like that. But, we do what we can. And I think any little bit helps.
I think that's great, Heather, that you share your perspective and your engagement because that's what this is about. I thought was for us to really collaborate with each other and share thoughts and ideas. And believe me, I understand it's slow because when I first came back, I mean, I did with Oneida, I'd never lived in Wisconsin. And so I was more in South America and Mississippi. But one of the things that I noticed really is slow down. I was on a board for some land claims. And so I didn't know my tribe as well, I will say that. But when I get there, the chief counsel would keep saying, slow down, Joni. I wanted it done tomorrow and it was slow down. So yeah, that's very much it. But I also remember one great thing is that they're a truly a community that is engaged. You don't have to send up smoke signals. You can just ask one person and you'll get your answer. The 6th degree of separation immediate. Other questions for me or for each other or sharing the knowledge with tribes? I'm going to tell you, I first learned about the tribes because I lived in South America for quite some time. And so I first learned about the tribes through their jewelry. Ask me. I know who has the inlays, who does the beading. So I started that way and I loved it. It was a great adventure for me.
That's so fun.
It is. It is. So Thank you, Melissa. And thank you, everybody. I just think you guys are cool, really great people. And yes, I want to see some of the work you're doing, and I hope that you guys stay engaged well with each other.
Thank you
And
so
when I'm
much, Joni.
traveling, I'll come hang.
That's fantastic. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us. I really appreciate it. And yes, cool. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, but I did want to reflect on, um, if anyone had thought about this. I know I need to give you, I think as we get into value chain work, the assignments will be much more concrete. But this is kind of in my mind, this is kind of a first step to value chains, right? Are there sectors in your region that might be right, to start for some sort of sector collaboration? But what that can then look like is a value chain around a particular market opportunity. So, and I put these steps together because when I'm thinking about sectors, part of it's kind of like the tribal conversation. It's like understanding what's going on, right? Like what their challenges are, what opportunities you can like either support or, yeah, help in some way. And then really thinking about value propositions, which I know we talked about last time, which is really understanding what their pain points are and how you might be able to help them. And that's, the sector collaboration stories that I'm aware of all kind of fit that mold, right? There's some pain point that the sector is experiencing or some opportunity, and there's value in them collaborating. So, yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing and just see, so I can see you, if any of you have had a chance to think about this homework assignment. Any sectors that are particularly intriguing in your regions, yeah, anyway, I'm gonna stop babbling for a second.
I can talk first for a sec, Melissa.
Thank you, Haley.
Yeah, here in the Detroit area, there's a lot of freight business happening. So you have the Detroit River, which is like an international water that connects Canada to Michigan. And then you also have a lot of truck freight going on. And I honestly don't think so much about freight, but since I've been here and I see all of the freighters going by, it's sort of sparking that in my mind. So I was doing a little research. Some of the major challenges that they're facing is heavy traffic and congestion and having the infrastructure to support the amount of freight that's going out of the area. There's a big demand for the items that are being produced and sent out via freight. And then there's also a lot of fragmentation between the production company and the freighter and the receiving company. So I think the regional organization could play a role in the sense that they are involved with a lot of those different manufacturing and receiving parties. And it's not one city specific, it really is the region and the greater Michigan area. So some value propositions would be to save time and money and reduce congestion. And also the advocacy for funding and policy that supports freight and sort of the coordination of all of those different players and also supporting the workforce because all of those different parts of freight provide a huge workforce for the area. So that's sort of where my mind was with collaboration.
That's cool. That's very cool.
I'll try to get some cool pictures of the freighters in the Detroit River and send them in this chat.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing. That's so fun. That's really interesting. And yeah, that makes sense. Detroit is like one of those big hubs, right? It's
yeah.
how
Yeah, it is.
interesting.
I'm from Florida originally, so when I first moved to this area, I was telling everyone like, it's so cool. Canada is right there because you can look right across the river and you see Canada. And I just thought that it was really crazy. So, yeah, international relations too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so interesting because I'm not far from a border either, but I feel like there's really not that, it's not that kind of a border, which is really interesting. It's more of like a recreation and tourism border, right? People going across the border do interesting things on either side of that line, but I don't see it as much of a kind of an import export kind of border, which it may be, and I'm not paying attention, but cool. Yeah, anybody else want to share about a sector they're thinking about? Yeah, Ethan, go ahead.
Yeah, so last Friday, I went to the Iowa Farm and Food Conference. And so the sector so this was a statewide initiative, but I did meet with people in the region and the region I used to live in. Um, but I looked at the food system. So when you think about Iowa, you think I mean, everyone in this call's from all over the country, but Iowa, you hear like farm, you hear corn and soybean and pigs. We have more pigs than people. But Iowa itself imports 99% of the food that we eat.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah. So actually, in this pamphlet that I'm referring to, that it is 0.04% of Iowa's harvested cropland uh, is used to grow fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries. So everything else is corn or soybeans. And so we have this monocultural food production system where we grow corn and soybeans for either feed for livestock or high
Mhm.
fructose corn syrup or byproducts for, industrial. So, it's like we think of Iowa and we're supposed to be like feeding the world, but we're actually it's more of a commodity that we're trading, and it goes to ethanol. And then also the other thing that Iowa is experiencing right now is our waterways are contaminated through nitrogen runoff and E. coli. And so right now we have water bans because our central Iowa water processing plant can't process the nitrates out quick enough. And so we have watering bans right now because the nitrates from all the rainfall and everything pushing down. So we have very poor farming practices by corporate farms.
Hmm.
And so bringing this back to what are the sectors? The
Yeah.
sectors I'm not looking at the, John Deere, Vermeer, like those markets kind of do their own thing, but I'm looking at the local food system as a sector because when I went to this conference, we met with teachers and people in school districts who want to get fresh produce brought to their school so the children are eating food that's grown in our state, with lawmakers who want to change food policy in a way that that positively impacts local growers and producers. I met with people in healthcare who want to prescribe food as medicine
Mhm.
and ways, and met with people who want to bring in rural grocery stores again to areas. So like small towns who don't have a grocery store, they don't need another Dollar General coming in. They want a rural grocery store where they can get produce that's grown in their area. So the demand for locally grown fresh produce is high,
Hmm.
and the supply just isn't there yet. So we're looking at ways like how can the sector grow? And there's a lot of good work going into this. And we're also hearing it from farmers too, who are seeing like the global impact of, if you see high fuel prices through wars, you see high fertilizer prices, and then you're meeting with you're like this and the middle people involved with processing the commodities and everything. So it's like their profit margins on these farms are getting less and less for family farms who only grow corn or soybeans, because of all the other inputs. So, that there's this shift, this paradigm shift coming, and I think it's going to be awesome if we can get past the corporate lobbyists and get
Yeah.
and then get people access to land, get people access to the food, get the supply to where the demand is at right
Yes.
now.
That's exciting. I mean, there's so many models of local food systems and regional food systems, so you've got a lot to work with. And having the demand there is half the battle, really, right? As we're going to talk about next time. My colleague Shauna is going to come talk about understanding demand. So that's exciting. Nice work. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, Sawyer, did you have something you want to share?
Yeah, I thought about this a good bit. I think one of the hard things is what at what point is it ripe for collaboration?
Yeah.
And mine, I wanted to hop in now because mine was also food related, but
Yeah.
not quite the same. That's a great thought, though. I should think more about that. I was just thinking a sector that's already really strong in and around downtown Birmingham, especially, is like the food and drink sector, restaurants and bars and things like that. We also have a ton of great local bakeries and stuff, and they do collaborate a lot in the sense that like they'll source bread from a bakery and they'll source breakfast tacos from the breakfast taco place at the coffee shop. But in terms of like how many bars and restaurants we have, there's got to be some collaborative purchasing that they could do to
Yeah.
bring down like bulk pricing on liquor. I mean, there are just even just on my street, there's probably 20 cocktail bars and stuff just because they concentrate in downtown. It's
Okay.
like, yeah, yeah. So I don't know exactly what the collaboration would look like. I think purchasing agreements could be really good, and probably more um, cross local business sourcing than we already have. Because
Yep.
you do see it, but you could see a lot more of it, and it would just be good. I mean, as local wealth creation, it'd be good for everybody if it was coming from local instead of Cisco. No offense,
Absolutely.
Cisco, but
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, it's okay. Cisco has its place in our food systems, but we want to we want to keep it out of all of it. But well, that's exciting. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I wonder when I think about that, I wonder if there's like a downtown association kind of chamber that might act as that may already be doing some of that. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but you would hope that they would be. I mean, I would
um,
think Birmingham has something like that, right?
it's complicated. It's
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure as is true with all y'all's regions, economic development really. There's a large diaspora, and who focuses on what has definitely shifted over time. So, like, yes, there is a chamber downtown, but it merged into another organization that is not focused on that. You know,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
Is there an association that is? Not that I know of, but there might
Okay.
be.
Well, and that maybe that's where you come in. I mean, if that's a gap, I mean, it sounds like it is. Maybe you or maybe the economic development, maybe not you personally, but your organization maybe could serve that role and at least um, convening those folks because in the example I used last time with Deb Smith in Idaho, she's not doing it. She's bringing those folks together to have and facilitating the conversations. I mean, I don't think you can force the sector to want to do something, but you can help them get together to have the conversations to see what makes sense. Because I think in a lot of cases, and I think Deb saw this, um, it's not in their kind of everyday thinking to do that, right? So part of, I think, the EDD role can be, you know, instigating that collaborate, at least the beginning of that collaboration, and determining if it's worth their time or not, or if they're on board. I mean, I think Deb found that, the wine industry at first were like, why do we need to talk to each other? But once she facilitated that conversation, they saw the benefits um, to their business, to their businesses of collaborating and working on workforce development together and purchasing jointly and things like that. So, and that's how she started entering other sectors. So, yeah. Eh, that's exciting though. That's one that I haven't thought about that one, but it makes sense in a more urban location, which is interesting. Cool. Others? Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead,
I'm gonna.
Lisa.
Oh, sorry.
Mine's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I talk to people in our office because I think I've told you before, I'm not from here, and they all accuse me of being bougie. So it's like, okay, we have to have this conversation before I go down this road. And for our area, there's nothing to do.
Ah,
Recreation or entertainment. There is nothing. And so, like I said, I asked them, am I just being bougie and a snob, or is there really nothing to do? And the reason it strikes me so strongly is we have Goodfellow Air Force Base, which is not your typical base. They're not here for 4 years. They're here for a matter of months. It's intel training and firefighting training. So we've got all these people that come in and they talk about how cool, like how much they like San Angelo, but they don't come back. And especially Air Force. My daughter's husband's in the Air Force, and when they get based someplace and they like it, that tends to be where they go back to when they retire. And they like it here, but there's nothing to do, so they don't come back. We have I think I've mentioned before, we do have a rodeo that does. It's a big rodeo. It feeds into the national, like it's a qualifier for the national circuit.
Oh.
But that's really all we have. They are expanding that Coliseum, which gives hope. But I think there's a lack of and we also have, I was just counting in my head because we have oil workers. We're a big oil worker area. And so we've probably got 12 hotels. We're a town of 100,000. We probably have 12 hotels that are always full. So those are people who are here to work, but they have nothing to do. And I just think it's something we could expand so much on, but and if you like, every time there's something on Facebook, oh, and it's always a Mexican restaurant, this new Mexican restaurant open. And the comment is always, we don't need another Mexican restaurant. We need something to do.
yeah.
And it literally is always that. So it's something that I look at and I say, okay, what can be done? And what, like you said, what are the sectors? Obviously the chamber, the hotels are can probably be a part of it, I think. Economic development, obviously. They are starting to, we have a really beautiful, the Concho River goes through San Angelo, and they've done a beautiful job, and they're proposing another project on that. It's a pretty version of the San Antonio Riverwalk.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense. There's no bars or anything along it, which I don't want them to do that. It is a very pretty, but I think that, like, as you look up on the banks, you could do things up there that they aren't taking advantage of. There's a lot of empty buildings that are up on the banks that could be something fun for people to do, and so I just think it's a sector that we are just so lacking on, and it would, because to me, if we bring in those things, we bring in people, that's when the businesses will come in, because the people are here. Right now, the people aren't here, and there's nothing for the people to do that are here.
Yeah. Cool. No, that's really, so I mean, that your issue speaks to me of like some value chain thinking. So we're going to definitely get into that, because what I'm hearing from you is there's this demand that isn't being met. And how do we start to figure out how to meet it? And I can already see some of the players as you were talking that need to be part of that conversation. So, but it doesn't speak to me about sector collaboration, because it doesn't seem like, I mean, you've got oil, and I'm not sure the oil sector really needs that much help.
Yeah, but I think that there's like
Yeah.
the business sector, though. I mean, like just the
Yes.
general business sector needs it, because they don't, there's a real employment problem here. I mean, there really
Yes.
is.
Okay.
Where the pay isn't very high, and then you add, that there's no reason for people to stay. So the turnover is very, very immense, especially in jobs, especially in the jobs that are, we have a great university. They come, they go to school. We have it's called ASU, which is not the ASU in Phoenix. It's Angelo State University, and they're part of the Texas Tech. And in fact, Texas Tech call them, they say that they're the crown jewel. This school is here. But once again, they come in, they get their education, and they leave.
Mhm.
There's nothing to keep them here as employees for these businesses. We have a very, it would actually help healthcare. We have a huge healthcare system. They're always like, it is constantly looking, even for doctors. I mean, it's not just nursing and things like that. It is doctors that they're trying to get. So that's where I was tying it to the
I
sector,
see.
kind of like
Yeah,
we need the employees, and
right.
we have to have something to attract them.
Yes. So that, okay, no, and that's really helpful. Thank you for kind of mentioning that, because that makes me think about the workforce. I mean, so it's around
It's a
workforce, like
workforce, right? Workforce.
how do we bring together kind of all of these different sectors to think about workforce challenges?
Right.
Cool. All right. Thanks for telling us. Thanks
Mhm.
for sharing all of that. That's really helpful. Um, Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, others. I don't know who else who hasn't gotten a chance to
I'll go.
share. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll kind of piggyback off what Lisa said. So we, where we live, my town I live in, we don't have a Walmart. We have a Kroger. We have dollar stores every block of the way, wherever you turn. But we also have Lake Cumberland. Next week, we're hosting, it's called the High School Fishing World Series. There's going to be thousands and thousands of people here across the United States. Well, we don't have any, we have 0 hotels here in this community. All we have is cabins and Airbnbs. So, and we have a lot of Mexican restaurants, just like Lisa said. But like to go somewhere and actually eat good food, you've got to drive 30, 45 minutes to the closest town, like where I live at.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people is going to be bringing money here, but it's not necessarily going to be staying, because to go do something, to go bowling, to go to the movies, to go do anything, you're going to have to go to the next county over, just to even be able to do that. So we're kind of in the same boat like Lisa is. We've got what we need to bring people here, but it's besides the capacity of hotels or anything like that. So
All right. And do you think that's also like a workforce issue, or is it just like
the
people
pay is
aren't there?
very low around
Pay is
here.
low.
If you
Yeah.
look at the commuting patterns, most
Mhm.
people commute out of Russell County over to Pulaski County or Taylor County.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. All right. I think we're going to have some really cool value chains when we get to that part, because I can see them already. It's very exciting. Yeah. So I guess, do you feel like there's a sector, and it sounds like we need to build the kind of peripheral recreation and tourism sector, right? Like we've got the draw, and we need to build the infrastructure that allows people to actually stay within that place.
Yeah, and like this, my town that we live in, we have 2 cities. So you have Russell Springs and you have Jamestown. A lot of it goes into the county and the cities working together. And you know how that is. If you're EDD, you know
Yeah.
how that can happen, and they don't work together. This administration has worked together more than any other previous administration.
Oh.
So I know they're trying to get hotels here, but it's seasonal too. There's only so much that we don't have a sports complex. We don't have any of those things that can bring people in year round. It's just kind of they're here from say May until September. I mean, you see an influx of people in the community, and I know that helps with revenue, but they're not here all year round. But we
Yeah.
are seeing a lot of people who's starting to retire are moving into this community.
Oh.
And people's coming in from different states just because it's very rural, kind of a laid back way of life.
All right.
And
Sounds
actually,
like you got some stuff to work with. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
like one of our cities, they said they did project, like one of the communities is Eli that they have. And they said if we don't increase their water within the next 5 years with bigger lines, or, larger lines, that they wouldn't be able to get the capacity that they needed to that community. So that's how much they're seeing people move into a certain area.
Wow. Okay. That's fascinating. Thanks for sharing, Lindsay. Yeah. Anybody else? I don't know I'm having trouble keeping track, but yeah.
Yay! Yeah, we at Mohawk Valley in New York, we
Yep.
went through agriculture. Agritourism is like one of our regional statewide
Yeah.
priorities. I couldn't think of the word, sorry. And so we kind of went through this in terms of our own strategic plan within MVED. So we do a lot of business outreach, municipal outreach, and regional outreach. So with the business side, we already support, businesses through a USDA RMAP, revolving loan funds, stuff like that. I work with a lot of municipalities and in clean energy. So solar and agriculture are sometimes butting heads here. But there's a lot of potential here for agrivoltaics to help our farmers kind of steady their income as well. We talked about definitely the agritourism. We have a lot of different, wineries, breweries, that type of thing, and a lot of just pretty venues. And then we talked about regional outreach and bringing our counties together. So like hopefully through our SEDS project, I'm sure we'll have an agriculture working group. I actually just got off the phone with one of our counties that was talking about some problems. So we're hoping that that can kind of snowball into some sort of collaboration among all the counties. Because like for us, it's the counties that do the farmland protection. They also do the soil and water conservation districts. So the counties don't always talk to each other. So there's not a lot of distribution or marketing or stuff that is joint. A lot of it is county by county.
Oh, okay. And remind me how many counties you're dealing with?
6?
Six.
About 500,000 people. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the other things that we did with our discussion is we actually took out assignments. So we looked at agriculture through our strategic plan, like Amanda was talking about. And, we've got these different pillars in there. One of them is business outreach. And, Riley and I are going to be taking that on, where we're going to be doing workshops for agriculture, for farmers, for small businesses, things like that. Amanda's taking on the municipality side of things. While there's not really farmers in municipalities, but
Local laws.
There
you've
are
got the
policies
land
and
use
laws
laws,
that
the
are,
policies, that kind of stuff. So we took it as let's look at agriculture through the lens of our strategic plan, and let's start moving towards that, to what Sawyer was talking about. We're not ready to implement anything. We're not ready for that collaboration. I forget what you call it.
Cooperation?
It's not cooperation. It's whatever that word is that you made up.
co-opetition. Yeah.
Competition. We're not there yet, but
No.
there's a lot of value in doing the heavy lifting and starting to get that around there. Amanda went crazy with dropping stuff into the chat box with some of the things that we're already doing around agriculture. So feel free to ignore anything that she's put in there.
No, thank you. I apologize. I haven't really been looking at the chat, but that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I think my point in bringing this kind of idea up isn't that it's something you can do tomorrow. It's doing the legwork to see if there's something there, right? Like, and I'm not saying that every community has this, has sectors that need this kind of support, but if you look around and you see one that would benefit from the things that you have to offer, I think, there may be something there. So yeah, and small steps, again, like Joni was saying, even the work that Deb did in Idaho, that took time, right? It takes, it takes understanding what's going on in your region, but it also takes building trust among a lot of those players, right? Like you maybe start by having conversations with a couple of the folks in that sector, so you can at least know what's going on, so how that sector is doing, what challenges they're experiencing. It's definitely a long-term strategy of like getting to know the sectors in your backyard and understanding how you can be useful to them and how they can be useful to each other too.
I will say one of the struggles that Amanda and I had to narrow down. We had to pull the team out of the weeds because
Ah,
they were like, this industry, and then they're just rattling off all of these things that, like we had to pull them back and be like, let's just talk about the industries first. Let's high
yeah,
level industry and then
right.
move them from piece to piece. So that was a little
Hmm.
challenging for our team.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, I guess different folks are more want to get in the weeds quickly, right? And we're gonna get there. We're definitely getting to the weeds for sure. Certainly as we start to think about understanding demand, we start to get into thinking not only about a sector, but drilling down to what are those market opportunities that would benefit from this kind of an approach. So we are going to get into the weeds pretty soon. And this is, I like, we didn't do this in the last cohort, and I felt like it was missing because we kind of jumped right into value chains. And I thought, there's something beyond first. Not everything is a value chain. Sometimes it's just figuring out how you can support the sectors in your region. And that's not quite as much of a heavy lift, I think, as building a value chain, but it's still important. And a lot of EDDs are think in sectors, right? Like you support sectors in your regions. And so it seems like a natural fit to me for EDDs to, not all EDDs are going to be part of value chains, but I think all EDDs probably have sectors that they can be supporting in different ways. So, yeah. All right. I think we hit just about everybody. I think Corinne or Brittany, if there's anything sector-wise that you want to share.
I honestly haven't had time to do much research, so I loved hearing everyone's ideas and
Yeah.
we'll be better prepared for next time.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, just based on what I know about your region, um, you've got a huge
Mhm.
recreation and tourism sector. So are
Yep.
there, that to me, that may be, I'm sure there are other ones, but certainly the ones I'm aware that I've seen with my eyes are that, and there may be opportunities there, right?
Mhm.
Of like collaborating for mutual benefit. And I'm sure some of that is already happening, but yeah. And then Brittany, you're also in a,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm new here too, but we work closely with the city of Ronan where we're located, and they have a lot of infrastructure needs, water
Mhm,
sewer needs, streets. So it makes it hard for, if
mhm,
any development wants to come. I mean, we're at capacity. And
mhm.
so, that's a big need here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, are there existing sectors that are relevant? I mean, is there industry that is in a particular area, or is it, I mean, you're close
I
to
mean, yeah,
Glacier, I
we're
would think
definitely.
recreation.
Yeah, I mean, we are just a super highway for
Mm,
recreation and tourism. I think like
mhm.
3.5 or $1 billion, I mean, comes through the highway where
Wow.
along our area. But um, I don't think we're tapping into that in our area as much as we can. In our small town, we're just under 2,000 people. We're very close. Polson is 10 miles away, and it's right on the lake, Flathead Lake. So which 10 miles away, it's a completely different community. It's interesting how that works out.
Yeah.
um, so yeah,
Okay.
we are agricultural area too.
Mm,
So we're really tapped into that, especially we're a food and ag center here, and also a food processing center, food enterprise center. So our other departments here are really tapped into that area.
mhm.
Is Ethan that was talking about that? So yeah, we work very closely with our local growers and our co-ops. So yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've covered everybody. Any thoughts, questions, concerns, anything that Joni mentioned that you want to, anything? We don't have to stay the whole hour and a half, but I don't want to cut discussion off if there are things on your mind. Um, Okay. Well, I'm going to bring this back up. We're just finishing up sector collaboration. Next, we'll be talking about demand. Oops, we'll be talking about demand and kind of the early stages of value chain development, which is really demand and figuring out what that market opportunity is. So my colleague Shauna Ratner will be coming to join us on the 8th. And talking about demand and talking about the work we did in Afghanistan, which honestly, if we can do that there, you can do it where you are. So, yes, they have far more challenges than you do, I promise. So yeah, anyway, those are our next two calls, are the 8th and the 22nd. We'll be talking about demand and we'll start thinking about a market opportunity to map. One thing I noticed from the evaluation last time is wanting to do more work together on these calls, and that's easier said than done. I mean, but I think as we get into the value chain discussions, I think we can start to maybe map something out together online. There are some cool sites where you can do that collaboratively. So I think we'll be looking to do some of that. And yeah, anyway, that's what I've got. My usual, the WealthWorks website is always kind of the place I go for things. And then NATO's wealth creation website has tons of resources too. This is actually an old picture. There's a ton of stuff on here as you look at it. I know I got to find a new image. And again, Reno, I'm trying to put together a wealth creation session. I would love to have other people talk besides me. So, if you're planning on going to Reno, please let me know, because I am putting together a session. I'd love to have folks who either are going through this cohort or the last cohort, or just who are interested, talk about, wealth creation in their own I don't know, places and what that might look like. So, yeah. And as always, please reach out with questions, or if you just want to chat, I'm always open to just chatting through whatever you're dealing with that I can be helpful with. So yes, please let me know. But if there's nothing else anybody wants to talk about, then I will let you
Melissa,
be. Yeah.
Are you still going to do it July 22nd? Because I don't know who else going, but NATO
Oh.
EDA is on the 22nd in Atlanta.
I totally forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to be there too.
Mhm.
So yes, we should change that one. Thank you for bringing that up. I know you sent me a note and it dropped off my radar. So since most of us are on this call, maybe we can quickly find a different date. I know I'm going to be in Atlanta that week too, and then I have to, yeah. Is it possible? I'm traveling the next week too. Well, I guess we could do it the week after the 8th. So we could do it the week of the 15th, the 13th to set, like maybe the 15th. I mean, it would only be a week later, but we could try that. How would that work for folks? The 15th at 1, or I can't do the 29th. I could do the 27th or the 31st if we wanted to do it a week later. 15th. Yeah, others. 15th.
I'm on vacation on the 15th, but Amanda will be around, so one of us will be here.
Okay. Other 15th, 27th works best for you, Corinne. Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in? Look at your calendar. 15th or 27th or 31st is what I'm kind of looking at right this moment. Okay. I think it sounds like 15th is what I'm seeing the most people say. So, yeah, sound all right? Okay. I'm going to change it to that. I know it will only be a week between calls, but we'll just deal, you know? All right. I will update that on our calendars, and yeah. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your week and a lovely 4th, and I will talk to you after that. Good to see you all.
Nice to meet you. Bye.
Bye.